FIFA is probably the most tragically bad game I've played in my entire life. I started off playing FIFA 16 and 17 when I first started playing, and they were great games at the time, but now playing games like FIFA 25 and FIFA 26, it's pretty disappointing. And you can really see this even when I used to make FIFA videos. And I've watched other FIFA YouTubers and oh my gosh, I haven't even bought FIFA 26 yet. Because I haven't bought FIFA 26, I decided to create my own FIFA 26, which was a terrible idea. Although I'm a computer engineer, I don't really classify myself as a game developer. I have never made a game in my life, let alone on Unity. I don't really think anybody has made a FIFA game before. Oh wait. Someone's made an entire game engine based around this. Yeah, I'm not that advanced yet, buddy. I wanted to get started and I wanted to make this kind of an easier project on my end and iterate it. You guys can let me know in the comments in the future if you guys want to see more episodes of this. But essentially for this project, I wanted to just make the practice arena where you could just basically sauce up the goalie. I spent hours there. So I needed to start and I had to create the player, which I just used the regular default capsule bean. I had to create a ball and then a camera that tracked the player. I had no idea how to do any of this. I wrote some C# code, which I've never wrote C# in my life before. I've only used C++. They're very similar. I don't know who decided that they're very different, but maybe I just haven't gotten to the point where I see the difference just yet. I created code for the ball so that it'll react based off of the physics. Of course, after doing all this, my player decided to go through the ball. So to fix this, I needed to check this thing that was called kinematics. There's too many terms in stupid engineering. Are we moving this object via script or via physics? We had to uncheck kinematics for the ball. It is not moving via a script. So dribbling was a mess at first. I did not know how to make a dribbling mechanic. I would go through the ball, and then once I got the kinematic thing to work and there was collisions, the dribbling was like trying to play pinball, and the ball would just kind of like roll off to the left or the right of the player, and then you would have to go back and go try and dribble it again. Guys, post-production here. Honestly, I just wanted to give a better explanation on this dribbling system that I updated. So essentially, I use a small algorithm to allow for the ball to be locked to the player when the player possesses the ball. Almost like FIFA, this basically takes the player's position and then updates the ball's position based off of the player's position and the way that they're facing. And then I also use one, which stands the 1F, or the one floating point number, is for the ball to be one unit in front of the player. I use also one of Unity's built-in functions called lerp, which stands for linear interpolation, which is basically the measure between two different objects. In this case, it's the player and the ball. So it measures basically and updates based off of the two positions. You would think that it would be so easy to just make a goal because it's just 3 posts and then the net. I thought it would maybe take a little bit of time because you had to duplicate all those things, but no, the hardest part was the posts. I didn't know how to snap in Unity. It took me a minute and I probably should have looked it up on Google sooner, but I started with a smaller goal and then scaled it up later in the video, you'll see. But I also created a build net script so I didn't have to do the columns of the net every 0.3 units. So I just had a script that created the net upon every single time you start the game. I then made space behind the net to get a goal trigger. This way, every single time you moved the ball past the goal, it would actually count for a goal, which later on we will do like a reset or something like that. Because, you know, if you score a banger with Ronaldo, you better reset. You don't want the game to just end. So then I learned about dragging the scripts that you write into the right inspector section. And we had to ensure that the tag for the ball. So when we write this script, we write it for the ball is the trigger to allow if a goal is scored or not. So we have to make sure that the ball object is in the trigger option, if that makes sense. The goal trigger was just this big block sitting behind the goal, which kind of looked ugly. And if you turn off the mesh renderer or switch it to be translucent, you can actually make it so the block behind the goal is disappeared. It's kind of like this cool effect that like you normally experience in real life with like girlfriends, like they just like disappear, especially as an engineer. So obviously this was a very boring game at first. We needed a keeper. So basically for the goalie, I had to use gravity and make him kinematic because he is using a script that we wrote. At first, it was a very, very basic script that was kind of trash that just made the goalie rotate from left to right across the goal line. It was very pinball-like. It wasn't the best, but at least it worked. It made the game a little bit more interesting, guys. So instead of only just dribbling with your arcade dribbling style that I created, we needed a shoot button. I needed to shoot like Paul Pogba. I needed to shoot like Cristiano Ronaldo. Okay, so I had to add to the player script. So the way that I coded this up, and I know that there's probably better ways to do this, the way I did it was a Boolean value that you just detect if the player has or has not shot yet. So he will always be dribbling with the ball. If you press down the space bar, player will shoot the ball, like launch it in front of him with a specific force value. And then that has shot will change to true. This needed to be better though. I knew I could do better than FIFA devs because as right now, this is equal with FIFA 26.
What did you just say?
We needed to add a shot bar. So the shot bar was to allow you to hold down the space bar for a little bit of time and then the ball launches away from you. I created a slider that was called a power bar slider. Okay, so this method that I made was uninteractive in the sense like a player can't click this slider when in game. More so, the only thing controlling this slider was the amount of time that I have the space button pressed. I also wanted to preface this, as I was going through this, I was pretty much commenting everything that I possibly can. Guys, I can't stress this enough. I really think that you guys should comment your code. Time and time again, I have had, even in my own experience, where I code something up for the first time or whatever time, and I come back to it and I have no idea what bro did. For the final stage, I actually gained sanity and I decided to start using a mouse. Yeah, exactly. I decided I didn't use a mouse for literally 3 stages of this project. Worst idea I've ever used in my life. I also had to fix the keeper, and I tried to make a formula where the keeper is tracking the position of the ball, which sounds great, but there's one issue. Then he's cracked. He's literally freaking Van de Sar on prime mode. So I had to fix him. I had to give him some error rate and also some delay. So that way when I shoot the ball, I actually have a chance. And as of right now, the game was actually pretty fun. I'm not gonna lie. I was actually really happy the way that this game turned out. Shooting the ball like from 50 yards out and like making goals actually got me hyped. So I was like pretty excited to like do a playthrough, test through of this game. Yes, it was not the same game mechanics as like FIFA, but I don't know. On my Emacs TXT file, we completed most of the things I set out that I was going to say I was going to complete in this game. So the only thing that we had left to complete was I wanted to make a game manager, and I wanted to obviously not make the players beans anymore. Let's just say I was playing the game and someone looked over at my computer screen and said, "What are you doing? Are you playing Roblox?" Brother, I spent a whole day trying to create this thing and it looks like Roblox. So I had to get on meshes and a game manager. So this way, instead of every time you score, you have to reset the game, I made it so every time you score, miss the net, or the goalie saves it, the game should reset and you should get something in your game log that tells you you scored, the goalie saved it, or you launched it over. I was going to make a scoreboard, but I was more focused on the player models than I was on the scoreboard. I used a site called Minimixo or whatever it's called. I definitely pronounced that wrong. And it just basically has free models on there and free animations. I wasn't about to create my own animations. Maybe in a future video, we will try and create our own animations, because one of the goals of this project is that I can do some sort of skill move in the game. That is something that would be super awesome. I love playing soccer and like doing skill moves, but like I said, we needed our mesh. So I grabbed a model off of there and grabbed an animation, and I started trying to replace the bean with the model, which actually turned out pretty good. At post-production again, I'm back. Oh my gosh, I was capping my ass off. It was not easy. I don't know who said that making meshes and animations would be an easy task. This is where I'm at right now with the animations and meshes. I have not configured keyframes or anything crazy like that. It's been fun, but it's definitely something that I did not expect was going to be so difficult to get correct. The reset was messed up at one point, where every single time the game reset, my player would spawn in 2 units above the air, which was terrible. And then of course after that, we still have a kind of a rusty, musty like shot going for us. But I went through, I got the animations working, not aligned correctly, but at a point where I'm kind of happy on how much I've accomplished in the course of a couple of hours that I could do in between exams. But yeah, that's going to be it for today's video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm super pumped about this project. I hope you guys did. You're stud if you stayed to the end. And yeah, peace. Mac OS is gonna freaking make me like jump off a bridge, guys. I love Mac. I've been using Mac for way too long now to like switch off to like the only other thing I would switch to other than Mac is Linux. Oh my gosh, sometimes like right now I just did the update and guys, I'm gonna crash out because of the bugs that are in it.